we need to thank our sponsors. I would also be remiss if I did not acknowledge three very important people. The first is Patty Herzog with the Governor's Office of Economic Development. The second is Maggie Saling with Startup NV. And the third is Carol Hines. These individuals went above and beyond the call of duty to create this Rural Pitch Day. Without our sponsors, we would not have raised over $11,000. Please thank with me Nevada Gold Mines, Northern Nevada Development Authority, NV Energy, Northeastern Nevada Regional Development Authority, Southwest Central Regional Economic Development Authority, Nevada Small Business Development Center, Battleborn Growth Fund, the Governor's Office of Economic Development, Regarding Sales, Audacity Institute, Carol Hines Consulting, and Startup NV. These are the people that provided the funding for the prize money. It is my privilege now to introduce Maggie Saling from Startup NV. Maggie is the Chief of Staff of Startup NV. She also is their Communications Director. In her time with Startup NV, she has worked on and consulted with over 700 pitch decks. So please help me welcome Maggie Saling as we start the Adult Pitches track.
Thank you, George. And thank you for all your help in planning this event. We've been working on it for about a year. And I'm so happy that we were able to add an in-person element this year. Makes it much more interesting. We began our education for the founders in August, and we've been accepting applications since that time. And so we had several applications. We whittled it down to 4 adult pitches, and we were looking for 4 youth pitchers as well. But we only got 3. So all 3 of you get to pitch today. We're really excited to hear what you guys have to say. All of these are truly startups. There are just 1 or 2 that are still in the idea stage, haven't actually started sales yet. But most of our companies have actually done that, including all of our youth participants. They already have sales. It's quite a milestone. Carol Hines and I worked with them to prepare for their pitches. The judges' rubric that's out there, it has been based on what we asked all of the founders to do in their pitches. So they've had a lot of fair warning about what they're going to be scored on. It's very encouraging to have some great concepts to hear about. Each company has 5 minutes to pitch, and then each company will be asked 2 questions by the judges. They're in an order. I will call on them. And so it's a total of 10 minutes for each company. After we're done with all of the pitches, so we'll have the adults first and then the youth. And when we're done with all of the pitches, we will excuse the judges to their respective breakout rooms where they will confer. And while we're waiting for that to happen, we'll be hearing from Liz Hyman of Regarding Sales. And she's going to tell us and dispel some sales myths. Okay, if a pitch exceeds the allotted time, the 5 minutes, the speaker will be interrupted or muted, depending on whether they're live or on Zoom. And then we will start with questions from the judges. Okay, let's get to it. Here are the judges for the adult track. Dave Hartman has been a resident of Nevada for 23 years and considers himself a native. He's worked in the tech industry for a Fortune 50 company, focusing on operational framework and compliance, organizational design, and global campaign oversight. He's now the co-founder of Dogma Solutions, a company formed to assist Northern Nevada small and medium businesses gain success through strategic planning and interim management. He has also generously given assistance as a judge, panelist, and ongoing mentor to many in Northern Nevada. He is an active participant in the Sontag competition. Jerry Bowers is the head of supply chain for Nevada Gold Mines. Jerry has over 25 years experience in the mining and resource industry with several international postings. He He has held various commercial and supply chain positions at mine site and corporate level during his career. Woody Dowling is the Deputy Director of the Nevada Small Business Development Center, a statewide program that provides free and confidential assistance with starting and growing businesses. As a Nevada SEDC employee who loves supporting local small businesses, she's helped and provided input to hundreds of entrepreneurs regarding their ideas and operations. She's also owned 2 small businesses of her own. Now to the pitches. First up, we have Elias Anderson. His company is PSTRM, LLC. And Elias, would you unmute yourself and begin sharing?
Yes, thank you for allowing me to present. I actually recently just got to New Jersey. We flew in last night, and I'm here to compete in a jiu-jitsu tournament. It's the ADCC trials. Jiu-jitsu doesn't have an Olympics, so ADCC would be the Olympics of jiu-jitsu. So me and my team here are here to compete in the ADCC trials, hoping to earn a spot at ADCC. I just thought I'd preface with that because my company, Posterium, is related to jiu-jitsu. We have a big involvement in jiu-jitsu, and the company itself was inspired by the jiu-jitsu community. So pretty cool that I get to present the day before ADCC trials. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. So my company, along with my team, it's called Posterium, shorted to PSTRM. Posterium is Latin for the next. And we wanted to do this because our whole approach is a marketplace for the jiu-jitsu community. We aim to allow everyone in the jiu-jitsu community to both discover, shop, sell, collect all things jiu-jitsu. It started out as basically something small that we were doing local, buy, sell, trade, gi exchange. And if you're unfamiliar with a gi, it's basically a kimono. It's what you wear in jiu-jitsu, and now we can do no gi as well. But yeah, this is the idea of the business and what we've been focusing on thus far. So the current problem that was identified is the price of a new jiu-jitsu gear, especially a gi, can be upwards of $200 or around that price, depending on the quality of the gi. And typically you want to buy something quality. Rash guards, no gi sets can cost you, 60 to 70 bucks per new item. And we noticed that there's not a lot of sustainability when buying jiu-jitsu gear. Over 90% of the jiu-jitsu apparel sold in the US is manufactured overseas, mostly in Pakistan. We have maybe 1 or 2 companies in the jiu-jitsu community that do all of their manufacturing in the US. And so Posterium and the marketplace itself was a more sustainable avenue for acquiring jiu-jitsu gear. And then of course we noticed that there's actually no centralized marketplace for jiu-jitsu and the grappling community. The only current avenues are random Facebook groups. You can go on eBay, but nothing centralized to the grappling community. And so this is something that, we thought of when my dad was looking through the garage and noticed a bunch of gis and gear that my brother and I had grown out of over the years. And we thought, we could do something with this, so we started local, and then we started to move on to an online marketplace from there. Another problem, the gear is just collecting dust. People who have been involved in the sport for a long time, they hold on to it for a while. It's just collecting dust in the garage. And so the idea of going with, a web app and something that we could bring to that community, that niche community, is that it'd be far more popular and much more appreciated than, random Facebook groups, eBay groups, where you feel like you're just throwing your stuff on there, but maybe it's not getting noticed by the community as much as you want. And also, there's a camaraderie that comes with, a community-based platform, something that practitioners can feel more connected to, and, more a part of. Jiu-jitsu, everybody wants to be a part of a tribe. And when you join jiu-jitsu, the grappling community, you want to find ways to feel more connected. So the solution was simple, and I mentioned it before, but a web platform that would be designed for jiu-jitsu practitioners, where they can shop and sell secondhand gear and apparel. It was a very straightforward process. You have an unused gi or no gi set, throw it on Posterium, you ship it directly to the customer. And in the process, you earn money and we promote recycling. And ultimately, we spread the joy of jiu-jitsu, which is what we're trying to do here. We have big plans outside of the marketplace for local communities and local jiu-jitsu academies. And this is something that I was raised in. I'm really appreciative of everything jiu-jitsu has brought me. And I'm looking to spread that joy as much as we can. So if a mom, has a son that's interested in doing jiu-jitsu, or maybe she's interested, before she buys something brand new, I'm sure she could find a gi for her son on Posterium, which would be cheaper and a little more sustainable. In regards to the validation of the market, this number was just brought off 4 groups on Facebook. So 4 buy, sell, trade Facebook groups, all in regards to jiu-jitsu only. This isn't even considering karate, taekwondo, where there's other uniforms, other gis. But there's 39,300 active members on just 4 of those groups, 4 of the most popular groups. And so these are 39,000 members that are trying to get their gis out there, get their used stuff out of there, and so we know that there's potential for a market here. And we tested that potential on our beta platform. This is a screenshot of what our beta platform initially looked like. And basically we ran this over kind of the start of the pandemic when everyone was in lockdown. We had a lot of time to focus on this. And we got—
Elias?
Yeah.
Elias, your 5 minutes is up.
Okay.
So we're going to go to questions now.
Okay.
Dave, you have the first question. If you want to go to your contact slide, please do.
Okay. Oh yeah, sorry.
Hi, hey, thanks for taking the time. Good pitch, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You mentioned Facebook groups, you touched on eBay. So with the centralized marketplace, can you speak a little bit to how you plan to convert people that would be on a Facebook group or just using eBay to come to your platform?
Yeah, absolutely. I can talk about how we already started that during quarantine and whatnot. But essentially, with our test group, we had over 120 users on the beta version of Posterium, all whom were either local, friends and family, people we knew in the community, or spoken to through these Facebook groups. So, we would list all of our own items. We had over 50 listings just from our team, And every time someone inquired, we talked about Posterium. We gave them the information. We said, hey, well, there's this company that, that we started where, this is specific for the jiu-jitsu community. It's a smoother process. You can check out other people's gis and stuff that they put on there. And we had pretty good retention, just doing, local conversations, talks with people on Facebook Messenger. So I think one thing we plan to do is talk with the, I guess you would call them the head representatives of each group, or the founders of each Facebook group, and basically offer some sort of incentive, like if they wanted to tell all of the users about Posterium, we would give them a code so that every sale on Posterium with one of their users, they would get a commission off that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jerry, you have the next question.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Jerry.
Hi, Elias. Very well presented. Thank you. I think Dave also I was thinking on the same lines, but from my perspective, what size of your business, how big do you want this business to be for you? Is this a side business? Is it going to be full-time? What's your vision and why?
This is something I would like to make full-time. My whole goal in life is to make jiu-jitsu my full-time job, whatever that is. Right now I'm a full-time instructor, full-time competitor. I travel around the world, teaching jiu-jitsu and competing in jiu-jitsu. And, my mission for this company is to give people a go-to spot, whether they're trying jiu-jitsu for the first time or they're involved in jiu-jitsu for a long time, but I want to give people a go-to spot to list their items, to engage in community conversation. You know, the marketplace is a start point for us, but ultimately we want to build something bigger for the jiu-jitsu community. And so this is something that we plan on developing over the years, and possibly, you know, the marketplace could be just a portion of it. But what we're trying to do is bring the jiu-jitsu community together. There's really no platform where, you know, it focuses on the community itself and bringing them together, allowing them the opportunity to talk not only about jiu-jitsu, but sell their gear, maybe share instructionals, share ideas. No niche market, no niche community whatsoever, other than, you know, Facebook groups, Reddit groups, things that are a part, you know, of a bigger business. So.
Great, thanks, Elias.
Yeah, thank you.
Elias, can you tell us one more time what the website is? If you have a slide for that, we'll let that show for a minute.
Yeah, so the beta site is, and I can spell it out for you, but it's actually, I think it's on my slide here. It's not, but it's pstrm.herokuapp.com, and you can kind of click your way through our beta. I can show you right here if you're still viewing my screen. So this is kind of the initial landing page. These recent listings are updated automatically as a new listing.
Elias, we're not seeing it.
Oh, you're not? Okay, sorry. Let me stop
You're
my
not,
sharing.
yeah.
Okay, here we go. So, so this is our initial landing page for Posterium. Marketplace for grapplers. All of these recent listings are updated, you know, as they're put on the site. So people can kind of get an idea of what's going on. And then we have our Posterium.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's all the time we have.
Okay.
Thanks, Elias.
Thank you.
Next up, thank you. We have Liz Woolsey from the Stargazer Inn and Bristlecone Outfitters. So Liz, if you want to unmute yourself and share your screen, we'll get to you.
Hello, I'm Liz Woolsey, and I'm excited to share my business plans and goals for Bristlecone Outfitters and Stargazer Inn in Baker, Nevada. My husband James and I love to travel, and planning is half the fun. But as prepared as we can be, sometimes we find ourselves in remote places where goods and services are limited or non-existent. Recently, on a trip through Central Oregon, our car's oil light came on. We were in the middle of a wildlife refuge, and the nearest town was over an hour away. Luckily, there was a little store in Fields, Oregon that had motor oil, which significantly calmed our nerves and replenished our car. Bristlecone Outfitters and Stargazer Inn will be that oasis in the Great Basin Desert, offering quality products to ensure safe, enjoyable, and memorable adventures. Baker is the gateway community to Great Basin National Park. There are 68 permanent residents who welcome 150,000 visitors annually. Visitors often don't bring enough layers of clothing to keep up with our varying temperatures, or they forget tent stakes or toilet paper. Currently, the supply of goods and services is not meeting the demand. There aren't enough year-round hotel rooms or fresh food options, and there isn't a retail outdoor gear store in town. Great Basin National Park is becoming a destination as more travelers are planning road trips to national parks to experience the awe and wonder of our natural world. We also have the darkest skies in the country, which attract astronomy enthusiasts from stargazers to astrophotographers. The park's weekly astronomy programs and annual astronomy festival are increasingly popular. And during the pandemic, people needed fresh air and wide open spaces, which our area has in abundance. Nestled on the loneliest road in America, Baker is surrounded by more mountains than people. The 77,000 acre national park is just 5 miles west of town. If Baker doesn't have what you need, It's over an hour's drive to the nearest amenities. This takes visitors by surprise. But Bristlecone Outfitters and the Stargazer Inn are the solutions to these problems and will offer more modern hotel rooms, organic foods, and ethical and sustainable gear and apparel. We will do this by transforming the existing restaurant building into the market and outfitter store, upgrading utilities, and installing new hotel units that will accommodate more travelers. Our outstanding customer service will make everyone feel like this is their home away from home. First-time visitors to Great Basin National Park will be our biggest customer base. We are also seeing a trend in repeat visitors from Reno, Las Vegas, and Salt Lake City, who are making annual trips to the park. This is an important demographic to build upon. Our VIP customers are the local residents who will benefit from time and money saved on traveling to other towns for their shopping needs. Currently, the hotel and food services on site have annual sales of $350,000. In 5 years, we plan on increasing revenue to $1 million. Our goals are to open Bristlecone Outfitters next year, expand the grocery selections, and develop the outdoor gear department. In 2 years, we will begin renovations on the hotel and start offering guided tours of the surrounding area, something that is not presently being done. We will also have rental equipment, such as snowshoes and hiking poles, as ways to encourage 4 seasons of outdoor recreation in our area. There are other restaurants and lodging accommodations in Baker, but many businesses are seasonal, and the park does not have the lodging or services that the other national parks have. Bristlecone Outfitters and Stargazer Inn will be the shining stars in town. For 20 years, James and I have had this vision to own and operate a travel oasis at a crossroads of outdoor recreation. All roads have led us to Baker. My wide range of professional experiences and James's career in the National Park Service are the perfect combination to bring energy and fun into the business and share it with everyone who walks through our door. Thank you for your time and this opportunity to share my ambitions. I look forward to welcoming you at the Bristlecone Outfitters and Stargazer Inn in Baker, Nevada.
Excellent job, Liz. You had 5 seconds to spare.
Wow.
Winnie, you have the first question for Liz, whenever you're ready.
Liz, I'm excited to go there.
Yay, good.
What I'm wondering is, how much do you need? How much money do you need to do this? And do you have projections? Like, do you have existing, historical numbers for your revenues
Yes.
and expenses? And then have you done that going forward?
Yes, we're in the process of purchasing the property, and I am friends with the current owners. So they have been really helpful in sharing all their projections and their purchase and sale statistics. And they have helped me also figure out different companies to work with to expand the hotel property. It's an old hotel that needs, really some of the units need to be torn down. So we've got some really good plans on prefab cabins. So I'm getting costs related to that, and how I've also talked with our area resident plumber about upgrading the plumbing and electrical services. So I do have figures initially that'll need about $500,000 to start renovating, to upgrade the hotel and put in 5 new units.
Thank you.
Okay, and Dave, you have the second question for Liz.
Thanks, Liz. Really good job. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
When you're talking about expanding what's currently a restaurant into a store for goods and things like that, are those going to be locally sourced, or what types of products, where are you getting them from? What are your margins, things like that?
Right. So again, there's a very small market on the property right now, and the owner has gotten me in contact with his vendors with this UNFI distributors. So I'm really going to try to maintain the organic and fresh products line that he has started, but expand on it and offer some more goods and services that way. And then I do want to try to stay either within Nevada with vendors I'm going to reach out to Patagonia, but I do like the Cotopaxi brand up in Salt Lake City. So regional and local as best I can. And margins are still being worked out, but I know that, again, the demographics of people who come here that need these supplies, I think we'll have a good customer base for them.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Billy Sage Williams with Big Timber Industries. You can bring your water up with you.
Hey, I'm Billy Williams with Big Timber Industries. It's a rural Nevada firewood sales and delivery company. I want to dive right in by saying heating your home is expensive, especially with the rising price of propane and electricity. But we have a solution. Firewood acts as an alternative and supplemental heat source, which drastically reduces the cost to heat your home. In order to depict the market, I utilized the TAM, SAM, and SOM market analysis. And according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, I found that there's a $4.8 billion industry in the U.S. for firewood. I broke that down into my serviceable available market in my region with a $4.4 million industry, which my regional area is Elko, Spring Creek, Carlin, Wells, Battle Mountain, and Eureka, Nevada. I broke it down further into your serviceable, obtainable market. Basically people in that area that have firewood, wood stoves, as a $222,000 market in my target area. That's a typo on there.
Yeah, so say that again. It was
$222,000 market in my target area. I want to talk about my business model for a moment and answer the question, does it cash flow? With my current assets, I have the ability to sell and deliver 5 cord of wood at a time at a price of $300 per cord, which gives me a weekly income of about $1,500. My expenses run me about $250 with a weekly profit of $1,250. It is a seasonal market, basically from September to March. In that 28-week period, I can see a profit of $35,000. In 2022, I'll be set up to actually sell and deliver 8 cord at $300, which is $2,400 weekly income. My expenses go up a little bit for a profit about $2,000 a week, giving me a $58,240 seasonal profit. In the future, I want to tie my business model into my obtainable market in like my previous slide of $222,000, and that would take 740 cord. Basically, once I get off the ground and running, maybe have multiple locations and employees, but that's my obtainable market that I can hit. I utilize Facebook and word of mouth currently, but eventually I'd like to utilize billboard advertising. I've always had this vision of this big plain white billboard with firewood on it. Everybody would call that number. My current market is, or my current competition is Boss Tanks, which is located here in Elko. They only sell half cords of wood for $175, which equates to $350 per cord, which is $50 more expensive than my product. And they only do local pickup. They don't have a delivery. I deliver it right to your doorstep and drop it off with a dump trailer. My other competition is Lloyd Seaman. He has a firewood and fencing company. He primarily focuses on fencing, but he does sell $300 wood for $300 per cord, and he does deliver. Basically, the traction that I've had, as you can see in this chart, I've been selling since 2018 and been growing every year. In 2020, I went from 20 cord to 32 cords sold. And in 2021, I'm already anticipating I'll have about 45 cords sold. What makes this possible is I've invested over $60,000 in my operation already. And every year it just gets bigger and better and easier. I'd like to introduce you to my team. Myself, Billy Sage, Big Timber Williams, the founder and CEO. I have an associate's degree in diesel technology that I received here at GBC, and I spent the last 10 years as a heavy equipment mechanic at Nevada Barrick, now Nevada Gold Mines. And my beautiful wife on the right, Jamie Williams, COO and sales manager. People would say that I'm the brawn of the company and she's the brains. So she's our sales manager. She gets everything done for me. I'm on the mountain. She's down here taking care of business. And, well, thank you guys.
Excellent.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Jerry, you have the first question for Billy.
Hi, Billy. How you doing?
It's okay.
Nervous.
You did good. So just with the changing times, environmental pressures and what have you, what are the risks that you see with regards to things like permitting and licensing for your business long term?
I feel like wood is as a natural resource. You know, it's always going to be available. People are always going to want it. Permitting isn't really a problem. I cut in burns. So all these forest fires I see all around us constantly, that's where I get my product from. And they actually want you to cut it so to promote new growth. So I don't see a problem in permitting or availability or anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
Winnie, you have the second question.
Good job, Billy, on laying out your finances and thinking about all of that and comparing your historical. How many loads could you deliver? Like I'm thinking you want to scale up, and what would you like to be at? What would that volume be?
I mean, right now I'm set up for 5 cord a week. I would like to be able to do about 10 cord a week, which is about $3,000 worth of firewood.
And the second part to that question is, what do you need? Like how much money do you need to scale up? Like what will help you do that?
It depends on how big I want to go. I mean, I'm already set up pretty well, to be honest. But if I wanted to take it on the level to the highest ability, I would want a full-on firewood processor, which costs about $100,000.
Thank you.
And how would that integrate with what you currently?
So that would just give me the ability to keep up with sales. Right now, I'm just limited to the amount I can physically cut and get back home to sell. A firewood processor takes all the manual labor out of it, and that's why people pay me to cut their wood for them. It's so labor intensive, and that's why I've reinvested in my operation every year, made it easier and easier and easier. A firewood processor would basically do everything for me. I just have to sit there and feed it with wood, or feed it with trees anyway.
Okay, thank you. Good job. All right, now I'm going to connect to Carson City and Taylor. Taylor with AOE Greens, if you can get yourself queued up, and I will start the timer whenever you start talking.
Okay, hello, my name is Taylor Parrish, and I'm here to introduce you all to the future of farming, AOE Greens. And so just to give you kind of an idea of the market, or kind of an idea of the outlook, is currently our agricultural market consumes about 70% of our available fresh water or potable water. That's on a global basis, and over 30% of our food is wasted before it's actually able to hit the end consumer. So, over 2/3 of our water resources, and we're using it to grow food that we're wasting 1/3 of before it can be harvested or used. Looking at that further, kind of offering some solutions to the market, hydroponic farming offers a great solution. Hydroponic farming can reduce water consumption, it can reduce waste, and it can allow you to bring your products closer to market or closer to their end users. By doing that, you obviously curve a lot of the issues that we're seeing in traditional farming. issues that they've had trying to get hydroponic farms started is the increased or the high startup cost of vertical farming, the high cost of labor and the challenge to train people and get that labor set up. And then obviously increased maintenance costs because you're starting to supplement technology for traditional farming practice. So what AOE Greens has done to try to supplement some of that or figure out a solution to some of this problem is we developed a hydroponic racking system that actually uses a tractor. This tractor is able to go through the vertical racks, go from layer to layer or rack to rack, and it's able to harvest, seed, clean, or monitor your different plants. This eliminates need for human labor, and it also allows you to harvest more plants per square foot because you're eliminating the need for an aisleway. So for example, a 3-foot by 10-foot aisleway would take 30 square feet of space, which could equate to 60 to 70 plants per harvest. So what that automation has allowed us to capture is we're able to find the best of both worlds. We're able to find the value-added production that farmers are able to see by using tractors and large pieces of equipment in their farming operations. We're also able to get rid of some of the high labor costs that are seen in traditional hydroponic markets where tractors and heavy equipment are not available or have not yet been introduced to the market. So positioning us in a well-ripe area of the market, so price-wise, logistics-wise, and then obviously our biggest costs are operation, which a lot of that is your electricity, water, et cetera, which operation costs can always be decreased over time, making us very competitive in the future and in today's marketplace. Currently, we're looking at the Carson, Northern Nevada and surrounding areas. Currently, we've addressed that our initial market is most likely going to be restaurants. Using a producer certificate, we can sell B2B, so business to business, not business to customer. So just like in the alcohol presentation or the discussion earlier, we're not able to sell to a person, but if someone wants our products, they're able to source it through licensed food distributors. We found that there's a large abundance of restaurants with over 50 local restaurants in the Reno, Tahoe area, with over 5 community agricultural programs and over 15 plus grocery stores that would allow for local products in their store. Obviously, focusing on perishable food items opens up a large piece of that market for us. So as an example in this presentation, we've done some data sheets and some analysis sheets to kind of see what our company can produce and what we'd be capable of. So looking at a 10,000 square foot grow area over a year-long production, you can see that doing a reasonable split between products, so a 10 to 20% split between your different product mixes, you can still see different revenues, and you will notice that some of your gross profits might be higher, and then you might achieve a higher net profit. A lot of this is due to your growth rates of those plants, size that the plants grow to, or how you harvest them. So if you're just trimming them versus a whole plant harvest. But this kind of opens up an idea here where you can actually look at harvesting the entire plant. So you can actually look at harvesting the roots off the plant and the actual plant itself. You can use the roots for other animals, other livestock, or sources of energy. And then obviously the food itself can go directly to the people that can use it and consume it. So it adds a very nice edge to the market. And so currently the time right now, we are in an agricultural deficit here in Nevada. So we import over $93 million annually in just vegetables. That doesn't include fruits or other processed goods. So currently in this agricultural deficit, that basically means we can't feed ourselves. If they were to stop sending us food from California, Arizona, or other places, Nevada would no longer have food for its people. A good benefit to the agricultural market in Nevada is that it's seen to have a 1.4% multiplier effect for communities and areas that it comes to. Obviously, high-tech farming can create a higher multiplier and create some more awareness in these communities. So currently we have a large team and we have a really large network of people that we worked with. So we're currently working with the Waja Group, who's made up of a group of engineers, advocates, and business leaders in the community. We're working with local students, other local entrepreneurs that we've all kind of come together to try to build this, figure out all the nuances, find space, and develop this.
Taylor? Hi,
Yep.
Taylor. Your 5 minutes is up. Can you go to your contact slide?
Yep, that's it right here, Maggie. I got questions. I have my cell phone number listed up there. And then if anyone wants to touch with me via email, it's just Taylor@AOE Greens. So it's just my name at AOEgreens.com.
Okay, Dave Hartman, you have the first question.
Great, thanks, Taylor. Well done. Kind of a two-part question. First of all, where are you in your life cycle? Like where, does this thing exist or is it, in beta stage? And then secondly, as far as the rural community goes, do you see, just pick Winnemucca, how many of these racks would be needed, or what's the size of a place in order to support local restaurants, grocery stores, and things like that?
Yep, Dave, so I'll let me pop up to this slide, and I'll start with your first question, and then we'll lead into kind of the numbers and supplementing obviously an area. So initially, the stages of the business right now, we've developed obviously our numbers, our calculations, our network, a lot of kind of the fundamental pieces we need to get the business going. Obviously looking at controllers, equipment. Where we're at on the automation space is we built a prototype. So we've tested proof of concept, that sort of thing. The prototype's been patented. So there's about 20 claims in the patent, so it's protected in that sense. And the prototype needs to be further developed. And in particular on the development space, because it's a tractor, you're developing tools for the tractor. So the tractor itself doesn't really need further development, but the tools can be developed to obviously cater to different plants or different markets. As we find or capture those plants or markets, we'll obviously adapt different tools to them. So that's a little bit where the startup is. And then on the size of the scale, this is illustrating a 10,000 square foot grow area. And so if you look in an annual period, you can produce almost 35,000 heads of ice cream. And that's only taking up about 10% of that growth area. So overall, you're looking at close to 250,000 units a year out of a 10,000 square foot grow facility. So if you're looking at a place like Winnemucca or a smaller rural area, you'd probably look at more about a 5,000 square foot rack or facility. And to put that in perspective, if you were to have 5,000 square foot single level, you'd need a 5,000 square foot building. If you're going to do a double level, 2,500 square foot, so on and so forth. So basically your vertical challenge is going to be how much square footage you'd actually need to occupy on the ground for the racking. And then the tractor's ability to move up and through the racks, that's kind of the key to the automation and the harvesting and the how we're able to save money there. Typically, a lot of these large farms, they're either manually harvested, they have a lot of aisleways, walkways, very small, very niche, or any of the commercial farms have a lot of conveyors, a lot of.
Can I cut you off just so we can get to the second question? I appreciate that though, thank you.
Okay, Jerry.
Thanks, Taylor. How much of your equipment, so what are the inputs to that? Do you have any imported material? Is it all made in the US? How are you going to address your parts and service?
So supply chain and stuff, ideally, there's a good amount of the stuff that's made in the US. One of the biggest pieces or the biggest costs in making these farms is the LEDs. The LEDs can go anywhere from $50 to $100 per square foot inside of one of these farms. And there's only 2 or 3 LED manufacturers in the world. So you're kind of stuck on the diode end of that. But as far as people actually manufacture the fixtures, that's a very open market. The people who I use right now are Fluence Bioengineering out of Texas. So they are stateside, and they're owned by Osram. Osram is one of those large LED producers, or one of the very few.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So first, I'd like to commend everybody. That concludes the adult portion of the pitches. And even virtually, it's very difficult to pitch. And a lot of the people today are doing it for the very first time, especially our youth participants. So you're all to be commended for putting yourselves out there and just doing it. So let's get ready for the youth pitches. Okay. And so our judges for the youth track are Alyssa Wood, Parker DeClerc, and Caroline Mcintosh. Caroline Mcintosh is a White Pine County native and retired Nevada educator. You saw her earlier on the finance panel. Throughout her career in K-12 education, Caroline held positions including teacher, principal at Mount High School, at Ely State Prison, Nevada's only maximum security institution, assistant superintendent of White Pine County School District, superintendent of Lyon County School District, and head of school at Nevada Virtual Academy. Caroline's passions include economic development and education. She enjoys serving as a community volunteer and member of various board and project teams. Alyssa Wood is Head of Communications and Corporate Affairs at Nevada Gold Mines. She's also responsible for all stakeholder engagement and social responsibility across Nevada operations. In 2020, Alyssa managed $18.3 million in community investments, including COVID-19 community relief and recovery efforts. Before Nevada Gold Mines, Alyssa spent 6 years working for Kinross Gold in operations in both Alaska and Nevada. She enjoys traveling and spending time with her husband, Marcus, young daughter, Sedona, and their golden doodle, Murphy. Parker Clark, you heard from him earlier with the interview with Carol, and he's a 2020 Grand Prize winner at the Sontag Entrepreneurship Competition, which is part of UNR College of Business. He's a marketing major and entrepreneurship minor. He and his partner started their company to help people around the globe improve their mood, sleep, focus, and energy. He's a student worker at the Osmond Center for Entrepreneurship at the University of Nevada, Reno, and leads the Entrepreneurship Club on campus. Now, on to the pitches. First up, we have Xander Height of Xander Professionals. You're all ready to go? Okay. And let me get my timer going.
So again, I'm Xander Height from Xander Professionals. So the problem that I'm here to talk about today is, everybody has a dirty car. We live in Elko, it's muddy. I mean, the road grime, salt, especially a lot of people who travel to the mines, a lot of that salt and stuff that causes a lot of damage to your vehicle. So by keeping it clean, preserves that that lifelong value of your vehicle and goes from there. So here at Xander Professionals, we do it for them. We get that car clean, and we're here to just, improve the value of it. So this is my market. There's about 18,000 households in Elko County, right? And the average household has 2 vehicles. So I'm thinking I'm probably only going to get to about 9,000 of the vehicles that I can at least target, right? So the average price of the detail is $120. And about the average time somebody would get a car wash or detail is about 3 times a year by someone who is not an automatic car wash, right? So I'm targeting customers, so the everyday customer, but also the small businesses and all the wonderful companies that support Nevada Gold Mines and all the other great places here in Elko. So this is my TAM, SAM, and SOM. I'm not going to explain it too much, but I'm just going to have it there for you. So here's my competition. We've got the do-it-yourselfers. My company, Xander Professionals, Hot Rods. They're located on Silver Street. Elko Express Car Wash there, an automatic car wash, and Diamond Auto Detailing. So this graph shows a comparison chart of kind of what each company does and doesn't have. For me, I'm fully mobile. I'm certified. I use all professional products. The process I use is considered safe, and I'm working on a website, and I will be community involved. Again, my competition, they kind of lack in some aspects, but they're also community involved, like Elko Express Car Wash. But again, they're not. The process is kind of dangerous for your vehicle. Automatic car washes causes swirl marks. With my process, it won't. So this is my business model. Again, this is just a general price comparison per vehicle size. Again, it's about 100 to 120 bucks for a car, a small truck, etc. Some of my expenses, professional products, they're going to be my biggest expense. I can utilize great companies that supply me with that. Of course, insurance, business insurance. On an insured, of course, I'll be, and labor costs when I someday get employees that help me out. So I already have some traction, and this is my progress slide. I already have current customers. I did have my first customer, my very first customer, Tiffany Williams. Her statement, in regard to Xander Professional, she was thoroughly impressed with my services. She was very impressed with setting up the appointment, follow through, and she felt like she was in a brand new vehicle the day she bought it a couple of years ago. She wants to thank Xander Professionals and go from there. I already have business cards. I've already been putting them out a lot all throughout Elko and get my name out there. I do plan on just going by word of mouth. I got some professional products, base equipment, and I do have a fictitious firm name filed in Elko County. So team, I myself is Xander Height. I'm an owner, founder of Xander Professional, 17-year-old entrepreneur. I'm all about business. I'm all about just people. again, I want to thank you. I want to thank all the sponsors, especially this lady here, Maggie, and everybody else, all the ones that helped me today. And this past week, getting my slides together, I was a little bit, behind, but they helped me. From there,
Good job, Xander.
I'm going to end my presentation.
Very good job. Okay, so the first question is coming from Caroline.
Okay.
Hi, Xander. This was very impressive. And I don't live in Elko, but I certainly am thinking about coming up for detail.
Awesome.
I assume you're still in high school. And
Yep, I'm
is that
junior.
correct?
Yes.
So how many hours a week do you intend on working this business?
Well, currently I'm in a part-time position with Fifth Gear Power Sports here in Elko, but I will soon get out of that and just kind of do my own thing. Now I'm planning probably about 10 hours a day because, I want to get maximum profits. Does
So
that answer your
aside,
question?
10 hours, tell me the 10 hours a week,
10 hours a day.
10 hours a day, but
So-
those are, and this would be while you're going to school?
No, during the summer and after school.
Okay.
So, but
You're
during
very,
school, it'd be about, 1 car a day, which would be 3 to 5 hours a day.
Okay. And my follow-up is about how long is a detail service does it take you?
Well, for me, just one person takes about 3 to 5 hours, but if I do have a helper, we can maximize profits and, get more cars in, get them out.
Thank you so much.
You bet, Caroline.
Okay, Parker, you have the second question.
Yeah, awesome presentation. I just want to say I've actually done my own detailing side hustle, and I haven't gone as far to make it a business, but I've actually, I did like clay barring and polishing and waxing cars for money. So I really do appreciate the work what you do. But I did want to say, I have 2 quick questions. What is your unique value that you think you provide to customers that competitors in the area don't provide? I know you showed that slide, but what personally do you think is the biggest thing that makes you stand out from your competitors? Is the process, the time, the price, etc.? What do you think?
Well, I think the main thing is, for one, for me, they see this young entrepreneur and they admire what I do and my vision and my dream for my adulthood. But along with the whole model and the whole business side of it, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then a second thing, second thought for you, have you ever thought about a subscription model so you can get recurring revenues and customers to come back?
Yeah, definitely. So just to start off, I do have a minimum, price list. So $30. That is just a basic wash and a vacuum. Because along with like the automatic car washes, they are kind of spendy because, well, people don't really use them, right? So they pay the subscription model, and I would go for about maybe 15 to 30, depending on the services. I just come to them. So yeah, I would employ a subscription model. Come to you and go from there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. The one thing I will say, I do think you have a really good idea, and you're actually working real hard with what you do. I'll just say one thing to add on, find out what that unique value that you provide. I mean, one of the things that I actually will say is you're right. You seeing this young entrepreneur, actually, I would want to pay for you rather than some person who's been doing it for a while, and I want to see this young entrepreneur grow, because I like that. But beyond that, that's one unique value proposition. Find something that you can do unique in your businesses that other businesses don't do. So that's an absolute great presentation. I really appreciate it.
You bet.
Thanks, Parker.
So hello, I'm Christina Howell, and I'm here to present to you guys about Howell's homemade cookies, the cookies you can't live without. My goal is to sell the yummiest homemade cookies at an equally yummy price. So I know I like cookies, and I'm sure the most of you guys enjoy cookies as well. The problem I have is that a lot of you guys probably don't have time to make your own cookies, as there's school work, or even if you're a parent, or even all three combined. So Howell's Homemade Cookies is why I wanted to make cookies for other people. And I know it's easier to just go to the store and buy your own cookies, but they're slightly less healthy as they have the added preservatives, the added artificial flavoring, the added fats, and all that other stuff. So my solution is to get a better kitchen with even more high quality ingredients. And since Howell's Homemade Cookies does delivery, I think that I could get my cookies out to local areas such as Elko, Spring Creek, Reno, Garland, anywhere. So with my limited time, as I do have school and I have work and family, I roughly have baked about 3 batches of cookies a day, and that can contribute to like 90 batches a month and 1,080 batches a year, roughly. But that does not include like Lamoille Fair to also bring my cookies out there. What am I offering? So I have a cookie of the month, which is just as it sounds. Every month I produce a new cookie for the month. This month, for example, I'm doing German chocolate sandwich cookies, and they are limited. So that means they are expensive more expensive than the daily cookies. And the daily cookies are just your classic chocolate chip cookies, the M&M cookies, peanut butter, oatmeal, snickerdoodles, all that goodies. The subscriptions I have is every 3 months or so, I will be sending out 60 cookies for $45 of a variety pack of different cookies of the daily and cookies of the month, or whatever cookies you like. And recently I have been selling my cookies at a local convenience store to basically anybody who has a sweet tooth and who's willing to pay for my cookies. So who's my competition? I chose Corey's as one of my competitors. As you can see, they don't do homemade, they don't do delivery, they don't do cookies in the month, but we do have fairly cheap cookies. So who's my team? It's me, myself, and I. As I said, I'm Christina Howell, and I'm a senior at Spring Creek High School, and from Elko, Nevada, and I am a baker. If I were to ask for some money, I'd probably go for $300,000. The use of those funds would be to get better equipment, a kitchen aid that would be better, to buy a commercial kitchen, hopefully in the future, and hire employees to expand my branch or business and really get out there. And thank you guys for my presentation.
Good job. The first question comes from Alyssa Wood.
Yeah, no, thank you, Christina. It was a great presentation, and I'm certainly going to be buying some cookies here shortly. So my question for you, and you touched on it a little bit, but how do you differentiate your product from, another business, from your competition, and who is your target market?
Can you repeat the first part again?
Yep. How do you differentiate your product and your business from other competition? What makes your cookies stand out from others?
Sorry. How I differentiate my cookies from other companies is that they're actually homemade, and I don't just buy them in a box or get the frosting from somewhere else. I actually homemade them. And my target, I wouldn't say I sell necessarily to little kids, as they're not the fun, creative looking cookies. I guess they're just more for anybody who has a job, or adults, teenagers.
No, great. The only thing I would encourage you to continue to think of ways to differentiate your product. Is it that they're all organic, or are you going to include vitamins or antioxidants in those cookies? Because I think having, that unique product is going to help you market it and also increase your marketing and outreach. But very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Parker.
Yes, that was a great presentation. I have a question. So what kind of profits, have you looked at the numbers of selling a cookie at $1? What do you what are the costs that you incur? What are the costs that it takes to make that cookie? Like a ballpark range. Do you know?
Not really, but when I was looking at like other information of like what other businesses do for like selling their cookies, it kind of ranged between like $1 and $6 for a cookie. So I definitely did not want to sell my cookies for $6. It's a little outrageous.
Okay.
Okay, Parker.
Yeah, and I guess that was it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Parker, you had a lot of advice for Xander. Do you have any advice for
Oh, absolutely.
Christina?
Oh yeah. So I wasn't sure if you guys were cutting me off because of time, so that's why I was like, oh. But I wanted to say, yeah, maybe you could work with. So like I said, we're very into like finding that unique value and differentiating yourself. And so I think you might be able to just go so niche as to the point where you deliver to local businesses or certain schools or different things like that, where you can provide those connections and have like constant deliveries for like healthy local cookies made by a young entrepreneur. And I'm sure that's a very interesting value that you could provide. It's you just got to find out what that is. And so I would agree with Alyssa that 100% find that value. And I think you do have a few things like you said, healthier, local, high quality, homemade subscription. You know, think about those words and find out which one is kind of like the one you want to attack and just go, this is what makes us special. You know, we are the highest quality, or we deliver subscriptions, etc. You know, but yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Tyson, you're up next. We have Tyson Manzanares from Crafter Pay. Tyson is actually taking the time to actually put on a tool belt. And he looks like he's much thinner than the people who normally wear this belt.
Yes. My name is Tyson. I'm in 8th grade. My dad has been an underground miner for 11 years. He's always had trouble with holding his climb pliers and wrap wrenches. They would never stay put, or the makeshift holders did not hold up. He asked me if I could design something with my 3D printer, and I took up the opportunity and started to prototype it. At first, it didn't work out as planned, but I slowly modified it till it was perfect. We did a test run on it and with products with friends and family, and we learned through trial and error which material was better and how to increase strength. So what's the problem that most underground miners have? Their tool holders slip out of their pockets and can be lost or possibly ruined. So what's a cheap, reliable solution? Introducing the 3D printed tool holders for climb pliers and wrap wrenches. These are versatile and can hold other tools as well. Also, to make sure yours doesn't get mixed up with the fellow miners, you can add custom engravings and colors. Right now, our obtainable market would be around 500 miners. If each miner were to buy a set of tool holders, that would be $10,000. And if we were to advertise more and expand our business throughout the entire state of Nevada, we can have up to 7,500 customers to make $150,000. In the United States, there are approximately 25,000 underground miners. If all miners were reached out business and could make $500,000. The numbers could be higher if others work fields were addressed, such as electricity. Each tool holder costs $10. The cost to print the climb pliers is $1.67, while the wrap wrenches cost 93 cents. So there's about an 85 to 90% profit margin. We're trying to aim our market towards Nevada-based mining companies such as Nevada Gold Mines, Kinross, Jarrett Canyon, S&B, and Redpath. One of our competitors is the leather tool holders. You'd say they're similar, but ours is substantially better with a cheaper price, custom colors and engravings, a secure placement, and easy removal to help to get the job done faster. This may look like a bit of a roller coaster, but I assure you there's a good explanation. We first advertised in January and got an abundance of orders. The orders continued to come in. However, in May, we advertised again and the numbers shot up. Numbers have recently slowed due to life events such as school. Overall, we have 60 customers, with the 44% of the customers having made a second purchase. This year to date, the company has sold 136 units and made $1,360. Most of the money made went back into the business to improve the products and make sure we could continue to make more. But this coming year, assuming we have a larger amount of customers, we will put around 32% of profit back into business and 68% put into labor and other uses.
I'm Kyson.
Oh, I'm Kyson Manzanares once again, and those are my tool holders.
Okay, Kyson, since you did take the time to put it out there, why don't you step between the podium and the desk and show us?
So these are the wrap wrenches, what their main purpose is for. And you slide it in like that, and it gets nice and tucked in. And then with the climb pliers, you just slide it right back up. And yeah, and these are versatile to other tools as well.
Okay, very good. So now we have some questions for you. So with the first question is Alyssa.
Yep. Hey, Kason, thank you. I think this is a wonderful idea and one that I'm especially excited about as I'm in the mining industry and think this is a necessary tool and that it's one that would be utilized. You addressed a lot of my questions throughout your presentation. Thank you. It was pretty thorough. The couple of follow-up questions that I do have, how much time does it take to produce one of these belts? And assuming that the demand is there, what's your plan to increase production to meet that demand? And then my second question to the joke earlier, is it one size fits all?
So with the first question, it takes around 5 hours for the smaller tool holders and then 10 hours for the bigger ones. But that also depends in filaments and types of plastics that I use. And then with the second question, I'm planning to make it more faster, is just get more printers and get them running at better speeds. And then what was that? There was one more question. What was that?
Just to the earlier joke, is it one size fits all?
Oh, yeah. Well, pretty much one size.
Okay, thank you, Alyssa. Caroline, you have the next question.
Yes, and this was just amazing. I'm wondering when you're going to start teaching in Spring Creek, because if you've been doing 3D printing and already have a successful marketing, that's very impressive. So they'll be hoping that you will be teaching it to everyone soon. And one question is, how long have you been doing 3D printing, and where did you learn it?
I've been 3D printing around 2 years, and I was self-taught just through YouTube videos and research. It would be amazing to teach other people as well.
Well, excellent. Self-starter. Capacity wise, I'm looking at where you are in your life cycle and about when you think of how many hours it takes to actually print one of the units. What is your capacity with knowing you have a full-time job at school? What are you looking at as far as what you really essentially could sell?
So since they do take longer to print, I usually start them right before I go to school or during the night. So then they can print throughout that time and not waste as much time. So then I could finish the product and sand them down.
Well, that's great time management. And then lastly, your marketing. How are you marketing? Do you have a Facebook page, or is it word of mouth, or how do you do it?
So we have we have business cards, and then we also do Facebook pages as well. And then a lot of it is also word of mouth, just throughout the mining companies.
Well, thank you. You're very inspirational.
Thank you.
Tyson, I have a question for you. You said that it could be personalized through engraving.
Yes.
Is that a process that happens outside of the 3D printing, or is it part of the 3D?
It's part of when I'm designing the actual tool holder. So it's during when I'm processing it through the computer.
Okay, so you need to know up front if they want to have it in gray.
Yes.
Okay, so it's just a function of the printing, you get the,
Yeah.
the relief. Cool. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Aren't they great, all of the pitches? I want to thank all of the judges for both the adult track and also for the youth track. I think they were great. In a minute, I'm going to excuse the judges to their breakout room so that they can confer on the tallies that they've done, but they don't get to make all the decisions. We do have an Audience Choice Award. So right now on the screen, you can see a QR code. If you scan that, it will take you to a Google poll and you can vote for the Audience Choice Award in the adult track.